Hi, spontaneous live on the Parsha because this week my class was on the Chodesh of Kislev and I didn't have a chance to talk about the Parsha, and I just felt like I couldn't skip this Parsha. There's just such a deep lesson that I connect with every year. So I'll tell you where I am. Walk down right by the coffee shop to this stunning little nature hike, sitting on this swing, and I wanted to share a really short but beautiful, profound thought on the Parsha. So it's Parshat Toldos, and the famous story of the brachos, right? It begins with the two children, Ela Toldos, right? Rivka and Yitzchak had two children, Yaakov and Esav. Esav is a cunning man, he's a hunter, and Yaakov is a wholesome man, Tamim, he learns Torah, he's wholesome, he's complete. And fast forward, Yitzchak loses his eyesight, and he doesn't know how wicked Esav is. It says Hashem, some Mepharshim say that Hashem took away his eyesight so that he wouldn't have to see how evil Esav became. But Esav did have a lot of kibbud avim and fed his father. Chassidus says that he knew he was wicked, but saw the great sparks of potential in Esav, which remained true, that his soul was from a higher level than Yaakov, and there was great potential had he utilized it. So he is getting old, and he wants to bless his oldest son, Esav, before he dies. And Rivka hears about this, and he sends Esav, while Esav is going to hunt for his father, to bring him a meal, awaiting his brachos. Rivka quickly calls Yaakov and says, grab me a goat. She prepares the goat the way Esav would have, and then she dresses Yaakov in Esav's clothing and ties sheepskin or goatskin to his arms to make him feel and smell like Esav, and deceives her husband, and then sends in Yaakov and says, say you're Esav, and then you'll receive the blessings, because she knew with her motherly intuition, that was how she knew obviously how wicked Esav was, and that wouldn't be the correct continuation of the covenant of Abraham and Yitzchak, that the nation and the promise and the fulfillment of all the brachos of Hashem had to be fulfilled specifically through Yaakov. So that's the story, and the big question, there's so many questions on this story, but mainly, why didn't Rivka just do what all the other Imahos did, tell her husband he was wrong, just like Sarah told Avram that Yishmael wasn't the one and made him send him away. And Avram listened. Why couldn't she just say, Yitzchak, listen, you might not see this, but Esav is a really wicked man. He's horrible. He does horrible things. He hunts people. He's a murderer. You obviously don't want the brachos to go through him. And let's give the brachos to Yaakov. And she could have convinced him, and Hashem and Yitzchak would have then seen her truth and given the brachos to Yaakov. Why would she deceive her husband, lie to him, and bring about the brachas in such a deceptive way? Tell her son to lie. So this is a very big question. There are so many Mefarshim who answer this, and so many opinions. And I'm going to share one that I read a few years ago that Yossi Jacobson writes, quoting the first Ger Rebbe, Reb Alter, also mentioned in the name of the Chidushei Harim as well. Some people say that the Rebbe said this, but we don't have a source for it. So the Chidushei Harim, Reb Alter, definitely say this beautiful parish that Rivka could have gone about that way, and tell Yitzchak the way that what was actually going on, and the brachas would have gone to Yaakov. But Rivka had a much deeper reason for doing it the way that she did. She knew with her motherly intuition, and because of who Rivka was. Rivka, the name Rivka is really interesting. My name is Rivka. So there is no reason in the Torah given or explanation for the name Rivka and what it means. However, the word Rivka is brought down in Maseches Eruvin in the Gemara, and it's used in the plural term rivkot or rivkot, to mean a few animals tied together. So the term Rivka means securing or harnessing animals, more than one animal together, for plowing the field. This was kind of Rivka's specialty. She, unlike Yitzchak, who grew up the opposite of her, grew up pure in Eretz Yisrael, never left Eretz Yisrael, was a tzaddik. Rivka was on the level of a Baal Teshuva, and understood that not always is everyone perfect and holy, the way that Yitzchak was and the way that Yaakov was, that they would just be sitting in their tents learning Torah all day. She understood that there's many different types of people and many different ways to serve Hashem, especially in her upbringing, growing up amongst wicked people, and being able to, despite all of her surroundings, still remain loyal to Hashem and good on the inside. So this is kind of who Rivka was. Rivka harnessing or securing an animal, which represents our animal soul, the other side of us that is human and is materialistically drawn and not always sitting and learning Torah all day. And she understood that we can also harness that for Hashem as well, and we can use all parts of ourselves for Hashem. So Rivka, with her prophecy, her motherly intuition, understood that Yaakov's descendants wouldn't always remain pure and sitting in the tents just like Yaakov did forever. Yaakov would go out to Haran, right, and his children would go face so much assimilation, temptations of assimilation, and throughout the many, many years of Galus, there would be a time when many Jews wouldn't look like Yaakov and smell like Yaakov and be perfect and holy and a tzaddik like Yitzchak and Yaakov were. Rather, they would be tempted and assimilate to the point that there would be Jews who are called Esav or look like Esav on the outside and act like Esav even, who dress like Esav, who would assimilate on the outside. You wouldn't even be able to tell that they have a spark of God in them because of the way they act and become assimilated. And that's part of Galut, and that's part of life, and that's just part of our history, that we've been kind of isolated amongst nations around us, and the temptations of assimilation are strong. And she knew that many of her descendants wouldn't look like Yaakov. And she didn't want that the bracha goes to a Yaakov that looks like Yaakov, that's holy, that looks pure and smells like and Gan Eden. She said, what about all the Jews and all the descendants that won't look like Yaakov on the outside and might even look like Esav and act like Esav, but inside they're exactly like Yaakov. They have that spark of goodness and holiness. So Rivka purposely arranged this so that the bracha of Esav, of Yitzchak, would go to a Yaakov who on the outside looks like an Esav, so that the blessing would remain relevant even for a Jew years to come who looks like an Esav on the outside, and it might feel like an Esav. It might feel that he has no connection to his inner Yaakov self, and that's kind of like the beauty of the quote, the pasuk that says that when Yitzchak sees Yaakov, he says, "Hakol kol Yaakov." The voice is the voice of Yaakov, and he feels when he says, "Vayadayim midei Esav," and his hands are the hands of Esav. So this is a Jew who, on the inside, his inner voice, our innermost deeper voice is the voice of Yaakov, is the voice calling out to Hashem and wanting to do good. But there are so many other parts of us. There's our hands and the world that we're involved in that might feel like Esav to us and even to others. And Rivka wanted to ensure that the brachos and the strength of the brachos and the power of the brachos be relevant to every single Jew, no matter how they might look on the outside or act on the outside. This is such a powerful idea, and I connect with it so much because just in so many ways, I feel it's inspiring. When we're going out, our job as shluchim now, this is like the week of the men's kinus hashluchim. This is kind of what shluchim says. I want to read to you the words of. Sorry, got paused. The teaching of the while I was looking up the words, got paused. The Rebbe says to go out and find a Jew that might look like Esav, that you might not even know is a Jew. Seek out all of those Jews and find the inner flame and sanctity of Yaakov inside of it and light it up, because it's there already. We don't need to create something new. Every single Jew, no matter what he looks like, where he lives, even if he spent his entire life having no connection to his soul, we all know that the inner soul of Yaakov is still there. So as like shluchim, I mean, we and as Jews, we all are aware, and just a reminder to look at our children, at the people around us, and look past the outside that might look like Esav and see that tremendous potential of the call of Yaakov inside. When we look at our children, it's so important to kind of like see past the outside and, like Rivka, see that there's a soul and a potential and the Yaakov that's inside, and recognize that no matter how, animalistic, like the hairiness represents our animal self. No matter how animalistic we are, we can harness all of that animal potential, that drive for godly things. So when we see these like negative seemingly traits in our children, in our friends, in anyone that we're encounter with, all we should see is the potential to utilize that for goodness. Also, I connected to this kind of in looking at ourselves as well, because I feel that we judge ourselves a lot. I see this in myself and in people that I'm close to, that often we feel unworthy of something holy. We feel that it's beyond us, that at least I feel sometimes like I didn't daven today. What have I done that's holy? Like I shouldn't be talking to for bringing with people who are on a higher level than me, or I shouldn't be, or who am I to be preaching this, or who am I to be, going somewhere so holy? Who do I think I am? And all of a sudden I judge myself and say like I'm not on that level. And I feel that I shouldn't be doing something that is beyond what I feel that I am. And I feel that this empowers us to remember that the brachos and the tremendous kochos come to us no matter how we look on the outside, no matter how, even if I know others view us completely as an Esav, that we always remain a Yaakov. So wanted to share that thought. Please feel free to comment, question, and yeah, maybe just merit to see the good and the Yaakov inside of ourselves, and inside of our children and everyone around us, to have the brachos come to us in tremendous abundance, and yeah, just all the brachos, and that the time when the potential of Esav will be revealed and all the greatness that is trapped inside of Esav, and and all of the klipos of the world will finally be revealed and seen for their potential and finally be able to be elevated, and the coming of Mashiach very soon. Have a great Shabbos.